But mindfulness only serves to reinforce its destructive logic. The neoliberal order has imposed itself by stealth in the past few decades, widening inequality in pursuit of corporate wealth. People are expected to adapt to what this model demands of them. Stress has been pathologized and privatized, and the burden of managing it outsourced to individuals. Hence, the peddlers of mindfulness step in to save the day. But none of this means that mindfulness ought to be banned, or that anyone who finds it useful is deluded. Its proponents tend to cast critics who hold such views as malevolent cranks. Reducing suffering is a noble aim, and it should be encouraged. But to do this effectively, teachers of mindfulness need to acknowledge that personal stress also has societal causes. By failing to address collective suffering and systemic change that might remove it, they rob mindfulness of its real revolutionary potential, reducing it to something banal that keeps people focused on themselves. A private freedom. The fundamental message of the mindfulness movement is that the underlying cause of dissatisfaction and distress is in our heads. By failing to pay attention to what actually happens in each moment, we get lost in regrets about the past and fears for the future, which make us unhappy. The man often labeled as the father of modern mindfulness, Jon Kabat-Zinn, calls this a thinking disease. Learning to focus turns down the volume on circular thought. So Kabat-Zinn's diagnosis is that our entire society is suffering from attention deficit disorder, big time. Other sources of cultural malaise are not discussed. The only mention of the word capitalist in Kabat-Zinn's book, Coming to Our Senses, Healing Ourselves and the World Through Mindfulness, occurs in an anecdote about a stressed investor who says, "We all suffer a kind of ADD." Mindfulness advocates, perhaps unwittingly, are providing support for the status quo. Rather than discussing how attention is monetized and manipulated by corporations such as Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Apple, they locate the crisis in our minds. It is not the nature of the capitalist system that is inherently problematic. Rather, it is the failure of individuals to be mindful and resilient in a precarious and uncertain economy. Then they sell us solutions that make us contented, mindful capitalists. The political naivete involved is stunning. The revolution being touted occurs not through protests and collective struggle, but in the heads of atomized individuals. It is not the revolution of the desperate or disenfranchised in society, notes Chris Goto-Jones, a scholarly critic of the movement's ideas, but rather a peaceful revolution being led by white middle-class Americans. The goals are unclear, beyond peace of mind in our own private worlds. By practicing mindfulness, individual freedom is supposedly found within pure awareness, undistracted by external corrupting influences. All we need to do is to close our eyes and watch our breath. And that's the crux of the supposed revolution. The world is slowly changed, one mindful individual at a time. This political philosophy is oddly reminiscent of George W. Bush's compassionate conservatism. With the retreat to the private sphere, mindfulness becomes a religion of the self. The idea of a public sphere is being eroded, and any trickle-down effect of compassion is by chance. As a result, notes the political theorist Wendy Brown, the body politic ceases to be a body, but is rather a group of individual entrepreneurs and consumers. Mindfulness, like positive psychology and the broader happiness industry, has depoliticized and privatized stress. If we are unhappy about being unemployed, losing our health insurance, and seeing our children